Many of us will be familiar with the scripture in Revelation 3:20. It's the words of Jesus. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into him and will dine with him, and he with me. I think that God is knocking all the time. I think as we look around us, we see the signs of God's creation. This world cannot have come about by chance. And I think that's the knocking of God. He's knocking all the time. But there are some people who simply don't recognize that at all. They see that the world has naturalistic origins. We just arrived by evolution, by chance, by whatever. And when we die, that's it. There's nothing else. Those are the people who don't even hear God knocking. And then there are those who do hear God's knocking. And they think, wow, there must be a God. How can all this have come about? There's something within me that says there's more than just what I see. Where do I go when I die? I think that's when we begin to hear the knocking of God. And then there's another category of people who not only hear his knocking, but they hear his voice. Interestingly, this verse says that Jesus stands at the door and knocks. And then there are those who hear his voice. Where does the voice come from? I'm not quite sure. Because when I knock on someone's door, they don't hear my voice, they just hear my knocking. Anyway, I think if we have a heart to hear, a heart that is humble and listening, we will hear the voice of God. And then, of course, there are those who will make the choice to say, God, I need you. I can't do life without you. I recognize there's a question of sin, and Jesus, come into my life. And those are the ones where it says, if anyone hears my voice and opens the door, and Jesus says, I'll come into him and will dine with him. Here's my summary of what I just said. Revelation 3:20 has lessons aplenty about the way God will call if we're open at all. When he knocks at our door, there are those who for sure will not see the signs of God's grand designs. They think that there's no possibility of a God who creates, and any discussion is just empty debates. And then there are some who will hear his quiet knocking as they entertain the prospect, no matter how shocking, that maybe there's a God and he's interested in me. But then how can I know if I can't even see? Still some will push through and pick up on his voice, and yet due to hardness they won't make the choice. But true sons and daughters will hear and then open the door of their heart, and that's when our lives will truly know their start. When Jesus comes into us and he dines and he stays, then he gives us the grace to walk in his ways. Listen, he's knocking, he's speaking, hear his voice. Enjoy life in its fullness as you make the right choice.